Hi, I'm Dana and welcome to another episode of Learning to be Autistic. I started this series because I was diagnosed at 21 and I realised I had no idea who I was as a person, autistic or otherwise, and learning about my autistic side and my autistic traits has helped me to really understand myself better as a person. And I wanted to find relatability and hopefully help out some other people and perhaps provide some relatability to you. I think that's all I have to say. I'll link the first episode, I do that every time, I'll link the first episode up here and let's get into today's. Because it was a while ago, I think it was like 4 months ago, I did a video about childhood traits of autism that should have been picked up on but just weren't for me. And since then, I've picked up on some other little traits that I had in childhood that are a little bit more subtle, a little bit less recognised, not so spoken about. And I thought I'd talk about them today because I haven't seen other people talking about this stuff. I thought it'd be fun. So the first thing, and this is what really makes the series Learning to be Autistic, because I've been doing a little level 2 course of understanding autism and it's mostly kind of terrible, but one big thing for me, like pretty much my entire life as far as I can remember, is that when people ask like, well, why do you get so anxious? Like, why do I get so anxious about going outside, going to the shop, having any social interaction? I've really struggled to explain why I get anxious. And with social stuff, it's easier because I'm like, well, because social interactions go negatively for me on the most part, so I expect them to go poorly. But for lots and lots of other things, I was like, I really have no idea why this thing makes me anxious. I do not know. And while doing this course, there was a whole bit that spoke about how a lot of autistic people, because they like talking about how we lack imagination, which I don't think is true. A lot of us are very creative. But I think that we lack perhaps... I don't know what the word is. I don't have the word or the term. They're saying that we lack imagination, and I'm going to go with that because I can't think of anything better. I'll let you know if I do. But it means that for a lot of us, and definitely for me included, I can't imagine what's going to happen in this situation. You know, I can't imagine what's going to happen when I leave my house. I know I'm going to walk out the door, I'm going to be in the street, I'm going to go where I'm going, but I can't... Who else is going to be on the street? Why is someone knocking on my door? It's so hard to explain because I know what is going to happen, you know? I know that when I go and do my food shop, I'm going to leave my house, I'm going to take the route I always take, I'm going to go into the shop, I'm going to go around the shop in the route I always take and pick up the things I always buy. I'm going to go to the till, I'm going to pay for it. But I can't... My brain doesn't work in a way that allows me to comfortably know that that's what's going to happen. I know that there's lots of things that can change and things that can be different, and every day is different people are around, you know, everything's different all of the time, and as an autistic person that already freaks me out. But I cannot imagine what's going to happen to me in that day, in that interaction, in that activity, whatever it is. I do not have the brain that allows me to feel like I can in any way be prepared for what's coming up. I feel like I am always winging everything, and I'm not good at winging stuff. But like I say, this is something I've just realised now. But if it's such a common thing that it's in these like autism courses, why did I have so many doctors and psychiatrists and counsellors and whatever else, both in childhood and in my teen years? I had so many people that I'd go through with me and be like, tell me why you're anxious about this. And I'd be in tears telling them, like, I don't know why I get so anxious. I don't know. It's not that I have these preconceived notions in my head that I'm going to step out my front door and immediately be attacked by someone or whatever, you know. It's not that I'm paranoid. It's not that I'm anxious, terrible things are going to happen to me all the time, although sometimes that's my anxiety. But when it specifically comes to doing things, I don't know what I expect to happen. I never have known what I expect to happen because I can't imagine what I'm expecting to happen. And it feels like some medical professional somewhere should have picked up on that when I was, you know, the many times with many different medical professionals that I was in tears telling them, I don't know why I get so anxious. But, you know, I think that's where a lot of my childhood traits lie, is that people saw odd behaviour out of me or saw me act in a certain way and they just dismissed it and assumed that it'd be such and such as this. When you get to the root of it, it's actually a very obvious autistic trait. And that very much goes for the next one, which is that for many years, I rose my hand. I put my hand up to speak everywhere, like around my family, around friends, in school. I would just put my hand up and I'd sit there like this and just wait for someone to notice that I had my hand up. And then when they noticed, I'd speak. And I completely forgot that I did this. Like, I haven't done it in years and years. And I entirely forgot that I ever did until I ended up talking about it with Hassan on Twitter. And I was like, oh my God. Like, as soon as I read his tweet, I was just like, oh shit, fuck. I remember so many times sat at the dining table with my family having a normal family dinner conversation. And I'd just be like, and eventually someone would notice and I'd be like, yeah, I had a point about something we were having 2 conversations ago. If we could go back to that, I wanted to say blah, 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 blah. You know? Because I have never been very good at knowing when it's my turn to speak. Especially growing up in a family with 2 older brothers and their many friends over, I didn't often have the biggest chance to speak. And you know, no one ever brought it up. No one ever acted like I was weird for doing that. It was very much just the thing that I did. You know, when it was around new people, sometimes they'd be like, why have you got your hand up? And I'd be like, oh, well, because I wanted to say. And I think because myself and my family acted like it was such a normal thing to do, everyone just sort of accepted it. But like, it's kind of horrible looking back, honestly. Like, I've got a lot of childhood stuff where I'm just like, oh, well, that's horrible to look back on. Because a lot of the things that I thought were funny, cute childhood memories are actually like, you know, no one fucking listened to me or allowed me to enter conversation to the point where I'd sit for like, sometimes long enough that my arm's gone numb and painful, waiting for someone to notice that I had something to say in my own family. But we got Ringo now. We've got Ringo, everything's fine. But another thing that I learned from my little course, I always thought that I played normally as a child. I don't think any child should be counted as playing abnormally if they're having fun. But you know, it was the standard way of play is what I thought I'd done as a kid. And then while I was doing my little course, I was reading through and it mentioned how a lot of autistic kids will set up as if they're going to play with something but not actually do the playing. And boy, yes. So as a child, I was big into Bratz. Bratz dolls were my thing. I had a few Barbies and a few Action Men, but it was Bratz that I liked. And I had this little hair salon thing for them. And I would spend hours and hours putting all the chairs and the mirrors in just the right place and setting them up because like, oh, well, Chloe would be over here and Sasha would do her hair, but like Jade needs to be over here. You know, it was very precise. I'd set them up ready for their work day and then I'd just leave it because they're ready for work now. I don't want to play a work day. I get it, they're going to cut each other's hair. Like, I don't want to cut their hair, so I'm just going to leave them to it now. And one of my favourite ones, I had a shoebox and I'd put it on the side and put some blankets and socks and stuff in it, and I'd put some Bratz dolls into socks. And be like, oh my gosh, look at them. They've like gone on a mountain hike, but they've been trapped in some, like, they're trapped on the mountainside in this little box as a cave they've found where they're going to have to like all live in there to keep warm. And I'd just sort of like lay them out and be like, yeah, they're on the mountain now, gotta survive. I don't know where that came from. But I'd set up for these like quite like, you know, I had the plot, I had characters, I knew what was going on, there was a whole storyline for them, but I didn't want to play it out. I didn't need to play it out, I just wanted to see them. I wanted to know that like it's set up, it's there for them, they can do it themselves. I didn't quite think they were alive like Toy Story way, but I definitely thought they had like little spirits or souls or something that I'd be happy playing together. You know, they'd take my idea. I think I was trying to be a screenwriter essentially. I was like, look, I'll give you what to do. I'll set you up and then you do it. I just never actually wanted to play like with the dolls, I guess. I wanted to dress them. I wanted to make them look right. I wanted to put them into my situations. And then I was done. I've done it now. I've played with them. And I thought that was a perfectly ordinary way of playing until it specifically said that like autistic kids will set up the play but not actually play, and I was like, oh fuck, that's what I did. And it also went on to mention that, I mean, it mentioned a lot about how autistic children really struggle with imaginary games, which I didn't. Because like I say, I had the plot, I had the characters, I knew what needed to happen. Which meant if I managed to gang together a few kids to play an imaginary game, I'd be like, okay, you're Christina, you're this woman, she's been through this and she's done this, but she's like this and she's like this. And they'd be a bit like, really, fuck, okay, like I just wanted to play house, I just wanted to be a doctor. But I knew what everyone had to do, and I would be pissed if they didn't fucking do it. Like if one person was like, I actually don't want to be that character, too bad. The character is written, we need that character, okay? You have a plot, you interact with other characters, you can't just back out now. I might have been a little controlling as a kid. There might be reasons kids didn't want to play with me. But you know, like, it was very structured imaginary play for me, in that I structured it. I knew what the structure was, and I really needed everyone else to go along with it, which they tended to be fair. There were quite a few kids in like my local area that did really just go along with me, and it was, you know, I had some really good times with them. As much as I've imagined the story that we were going along with, it wasn't really imaginary play anymore, because I didn't want anyone else to imagine anything, and I wasn't really imagining it as we went along. I already knew what needed to happen. You know, I didn't need anyone else to fuck around with it. I knew what was happening. And as we went along, people would be like, oh, what happens now? And I'd be like, okay, so. And, you know, like, it was an early showing of the fact that I should be a world famous movie director, duh. No, it was just me being autistic. I knew how things, you know, that's the thing. I know it's not how things should be, but to me that's how things should be. I know the way that they're supposed to be going. Don't fuck with me. And I know that that's not fair. I know that the way I think things should be isn't necessarily how they should be, but also they're how they should be, you know? And my final one is the stereotype. This is one that most of us are going to relate to, because I was the picky eater, the fussy eater, the child that'll never try anything. And it really pissed me off, because I felt like I tried a lot of things. You know, it felt like almost every mealtime I was having to try something new, and I hated a lot of it. You know, especially when it was like one of the big ones I remember is sitting there with my mum trying to force me to try mint sauce, and I was just like, I'm not doing it. I can see the way it looks and know that I'm not gonna like it. I've given it a sniff. I didn't like the smell of it. I know I'm not gonna like it. I don't want to put it in my mouth. And I didn't, and I never have. But it took hours and hours to convince my mum that I was not gonna put it in my mouth. You know, there's some ways in which I really do understand it, because we didn't have a lot of money and the food we had was the food we had, you know. But also, if your kid's refusing to eat something because they're saying they really don't like it, and you've told them you're sitting at the dining table till you eat it, and they're sitting there still like 3 hours later, maybe just don't make them eat it. You know, maybe don't make them eat it. And the thing that I always found, and still find quite funny, is that adults around autistic kids, and even like non-autistic kids that just happen to be fussy eaters, they don't pay attention to what we can eat. They just whinge about what we can't eat. Like, one of my friend's mums used to make a really good curry, so every time I went to her house I'd have curry, and then I'd come home and I'd be like, oh, what did you have to eat? I'd be like, oh, it made us a great curry. And then my mum would be all pissed off and be all, oh, well, you never eat my curry. And it's like, yeah, but when I go to my friend's house, my mum's like, how do you want it? And I'm like, okay, so I'd like my rice, and then my vegetables, and then the meat, and then the sauce over here on the side. Not touching, none of it can be touching. And that's how my friend's mum would do it. When my mum did curry, it was, here's your rice, here's all the curry with the sauce and the vegetables all slopped on top. You know, not to shade my mum's cooking, but I can't eat that. But things like that were never considered for me, and I think they're probably not for a lot of autistic kids. And that's always really frustrated me. My parents quite often got annoyed because, oh, you'll eat food when it's made this way, but you won't eat it when it's made this way. Why not? It tastes the same. I'm like, honey, autism. The texture's different, duh. That makes it taste different. Like, it's really something that should have been picked up on. But yeah, that's the end of my little list for today, because I'm starting to get pissed off, and we don't need that. I just, you know, I'm sure a lot of you that have watched this far understand that it is very frustrating to look back on, you know, for me, like, basically 2 decades of feeling like shit and wondering what the fuck was wrong with me and why no one ever liked me and why I was so weird. And it's like, yo, you had like so many fucking hints when I was a little kid that you could have picked up on and helped me out for like the rest of my life, and you just didn't. And it's frustrating. It's, you know, I think it's okay to be angry about it, but you also gotta accept it and move on and deal with it. You know, I'd be a very, very angry person if I just dwelled on it all the time. I think, you know, some of them I do find funny, some of them I'm just like, yeah, no one was picking up on that as an autistic trait unless you knew I was autistic. But there are other things that should have been picked up on. And, you know, I really hope that by making videos like this, some of them maybe will be for other people. I think it is mostly other autistic people that watch my videos, I won't lie, but, you know, we might have some autism mommies around. Hopefully the nice ones, like. But yeah, that's today's video. I dyed my eyebrows. My girlfriend dyed my eyebrows for me recently. Let me know what you think of that and the video. Oh no, I don't want to open up a channel of opinion on my appearance. Thank you very much. Actually, don't tell me about my eyebrows. But I would love to hear any traits that you showed in childhood that people didn't pick up on that are a little bit subtle, perhaps. You know, just tell me what you want to tell me. I love reading your comments. No comment's too long, no comment is too in-depth, no comment is TMI. I love them all. But I am actually going now because I said that and then carried on talking. So whoever you are and wherever you are, I hope you're having a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year. And I'll see you again in a couple of days.